Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about barbarians. I'm going to show comic books about barbarians. Now, I apologize to my black friends who might feel left out that this seems about white culture, and it is a mythology, I guess you could say, of white cultures or races, within what's considered white. But it is a story really about anti-authoritarianism rising up and rebelling, and an empire that creates killers that are capable of killing their king. So, it's the one of the oldest stories is the Romans versus the barbarians, which I loved. When I went to Italy, I learned a lot about, we brought home a chess set, and so for years I played this game and drew pictures and books about this, and wrote stories of how the foreign culture, the other race of people, the skin color might have been similar, but actually they were different ethnic groups. They spoke different languages. The Celts and the Germanic tribes and others, versus the Roman Empire, who spoke Latin, and who had embraced the Greek world, and so the Greeks were their heroes, and that was their mythology, and so the barbarians were lesser, and they spoke like bar. Okay, so I'm gonna play the soundtrack to Conan the Barbarian, and by Basil Polydoros, one of my favorite composers. They'll probably mute it if it's Facebook, or even, I don't know, YouTube will probably just get money off of it. But hopefully you'll be able to hear it. I'll start with Spartacus. Apparently, with Kirk Douglas, I didn't realize the screenwriter had been blacklisted, I guess, as a communist. But this is a story about the working class, or in particular gladiators, which would be like our sports class. I don't know if that's a class, but the NFL rising up against the military. But yeah, there's an interesting article about Dalton Trumbo, but I won't spend too much time on this. I'll get right to other things, like I'll show some Heman comics too, but yeah, Conan the Barbarian, and this is the Destroyer, a comic. This is a magazine, let's see, Marvel Super Special about the second film. But yeah, I should do there's going to be a prologue here. I'm just going to do a satire one that would be like a modern equivalent, where, like, in the time of Trump, there was a new white hope that came about and took over and became king. But that is another story. Okay, here we go. The Sumerians.
Between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of. And unto this, Conan, destined to bear the jeweled crown of Aquilonia upon a troubled brow. It is I, his chronicler, who alone can tell thee of his saga. Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Grace Jones. She knocked out a few people. She was fierce. And actually, my friend Eric Muhlman's worked for the sword factory where the swords were made for the films.
buy a Santa Fe with up to $3,000 cash back.
Sorry for that interruption of advertising. I will not permit it because I'm not making any money from this, so they're not going to. And they make far too much money. And do not share it. Even though I am doing work, but it's nowhere near the amount of income that they're getting from ad revenue. The Riddle of Steel. What is strength? Is strength the sword or the hand that wields it? Thulsa Doom thought it was the flesh, the hand that wields it. But obviously it was both. To be fair, there was a lot of xenophobia during that time with the writers, 1920s, Robert E. Howard, and he, I believe, corresponded with Lovecraft and the writer of Starship Troopers, who were pretty racist and xenophobic, and they epitomized their fears in their writing, you know, to, talk about these ghouls. That need to be severed limb from limb. They're unnatural and do not belong. It's, of course, male chauvinism. Death. Fear of magic. Sonja.
Buy a Tucson with up to $1,500 cash back.
Wow,
Now
I
through
really hate car commercials. Like I said, they're not going to get any playtime since they're not sharing their money. All roads lead to Zamora. The land of the lotus. Of course, we know it is ignorant to stereotype and to be prejudiced and bigoted. And yet, individual struggles between people are real, and sometimes cultures do clash, and individuals have problems with other individuals, and we tend to pick out the differences. Shut the fuck up.
Now through February.
How about you shut up, because I don't want to buy your stupid cars. Okay. Yeah, so individuals will focus on differences when they have problems with each other. And also medicines affect us in different ways, and we can blame the medicine for not feeling right or something, or not having enough of it, or taking too much of it. So here's the black lotus, whose petals, when burned and inhaled, bring the sweet visions of the death dream. And of course, it's also linked to zombies, I believe. But zombies are an interesting metaphor because zombies are not just like drug addicts. They actually are like working class people who become tired and worn out, and they just drag themselves, through the same rituals every day. I'm sure no one feels like that. Double Dragon. No, the comic book or video game metaphors are interesting in popular culture with like Contra, the game Contra. After the Iran Contra scandal, like it's really strange to think about some of these things, like how we view ourselves in relation to them, or what it means about society. What does it mean when we glorify violence? We want to, sort of like escape or see, exciting things that are scary. This is more of a boy type thing, of course. Growing up, boys had He-Man and girls had She-Ra. Okay, I like this cover a lot. Heku. So this is more of an eastern one. Beautiful landscape. Look at that. Dark to middle to light, then dark, and then light with the sky again. Amazing. It is like some of those Akira Kurosawa films, or the ones with the Heaven and Earth, with the vast armies. The samurai. Yes, I mean, I grew up in the 1980s when other cultures, foreign cultures, were actually very popular. I studied martial arts, so I had a lot of Eastern influence in my life, from artwork to martial arts, and eventually religious things too, with Buddhism. And Taoism. The way of the warrior is not just a white thing. It's not just a European thing. Groo. From Mad Magazine. Atlantean sword. So Groo thinks he got, a great treasure here. When he only dug that deep and got the crown off the skull. But really, that's just one of many treasures buried below. Brilliant cartoon.